Chapter 1, The Impossible Desert. Imagine standing in the middle of the Sahara Desert. For hundreds of kilometers in every direction, there's nothing. Only endless waves of golden sand. No rivers, no forests, no lakes, almost no life. Today, the Sahara is the largest hot desert on Earth, covering more than 9.2 million square kilometers across 11 countries in North Africa. In summer, temperatures can climb above 50 degrees Celsius. Some regions receive less than 25 millimeters of rain in an entire year. At first glance, I'm old. It seems impossible that anything could survive here. But now, imagine the same place 10,000 years ago. The scorching dunes disappear. In their place are vast green grasslands stretching to the horizon. Huge freshwater lakes shimmer beneath the sun. Rivers carve their way across the landscape. Elephants wander through open plains. Hippos cool themselves in deep water. Crocodiles wait silently along the riverbanks. Giraffes feed from tall acacia trees. And people, not just passing through, but living here. Fishing, hunting, raising cattle, building communities. It sounds like science fiction, but it isn't. Everything you just imagined is supported by decades of archaeological discoveries, satellite observations, climate research, and geological evidence. The real question isn't whether the Sahara was once green. Scientists already know that it was. The real mystery is, how could one of the harshest places on Earth transform into a landscape filled with rivers, forests, wildlife, and human life? For decades, Mapple 2. Researchers searched for answers, and what they discovered beneath the sand would completely change our understanding of Earth's climate history. Because hidden inside this endless desert were the remains of an entirely forgotten world. If someone told you the Sahara was once covered by rivers, forests, and giant lakes, you'd probably ask the same question every scientist once asked: where's the proof? After all, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that's exactly what researchers set out to find. The first clues appeared in the most unexpected places. Scattered across the Sahara's rocky cliffs were thousands of ancient carvings and paintings. At first, they didn't make sense. The artwork showed elephants, giraffes, hippos, buffalo, crocodiles, even people swimming and fishing. But here's the problem. None of those animals could survive in today's Sahara. Hippos need deep fresh water. Crocodiles need rivers. Elephants need vast amounts of vegetation and water every single day. So why were they carved into rocks in one of the driest places on Earth? Some of these paintings are more than 8,000 years old, and they're so detailed that archaeologists could identify the exact species they represent. The artists weren't imagining these animals, they were painting the world around them, but scientists still needed stronger evidence. Then satellites revealed something extraordinary. Hidden beneath thousands of years of wind-blown sand were the remains of enormous ancient rivers, some stretched for hundreds of kilometers across the desert. Today, you can't see them from the ground, but from space. Their channels are still visible, as if the landscape itself had preserved a memory of the water that once flowed there. The discoveries didn't stop there. When researchers drilled deep into the ancient lake beds, they found layers of mud containing microscopic grains of pollen. To most people, pollen is just dust, but to scientists, it's a time capsule. Each grain tells a story about the plants that once grew in that location. The results were astonishing. Instead of pollen from desert shrubs, they found pollen from grasses, trees, and plants that thrive in wet environments. It was undeniable evidence that large parts of the Sahara had once supported rich ecosystems. Then came one of the greatest discoveries of all. Scientists uncovered evidence of a gigantic freshwater lake known as Mega Lake Chad. At its largest, it covered nearly 350,000 square kilometers. That's larger than modern-day Germany. Imagine standing on its shoreline. You wouldn't have seen endless sand. You would have seen waves stretching far beyond the horizon. By this point, The evidence was impossible to ignore. Ancient rivers, massive lakes, rock art, plant pollen, animal fossils, human settlements. Every discovery pointed to the same breathtaking conclusion. The Sahara wasn't always a desert. It was once one of the richest landscapes on Earth. But that only deepened the mystery. If all of this really existed, what force could erase an entire world and replace it with endless sand? The answer was written in the motion of our planet itself. Chapter 3, The Invisible Force That Changed Everything. If the Sahara was once covered by rivers, lakes, and forests, then what destroyed it? Was it a massive volcanic eruption, a giant asteroid impact, or perhaps an ancient catastrophe lost to history? Surprisingly, none of those answers are correct, and the real cause was something so subtle, most people would never notice it. To understand what happened, we have to look far beyond the Sahara, far beyond Africa, and even beyond Earth itself, nearly 150 million kilometers away, to the sun. Earth doesn't orbit the sun in exactly the same way forever. Instead, our planet slowly changes its orientation over time. Imagine spinning a toy top. As it slows down, it begins to wobble. Earth does something similar. Scientists call this movement orbital precession. One complete cycle takes about 21,000 years. It sounds like a tiny change, but over thousands of years, that small wobble changes how sunlight is distributed across our planet. Around 11,000 years ago, northern Africa received much more intense summer sunlight than it does today. The land heated rapidly. Hot air rose into the atmosphere, and that created a powerful pressure difference. Like a giant invisible pump, it pulled moisture from the Atlantic Ocean deep into the African continent. The African monsoon became dramatically stronger. Rain clouds traveled farther north than they do today. And for thousands of years, the Sahara received regular seasonal rainfall. Year after year, the landscape transformed. Dry valleys became flowing rivers. Small ponds expanded into enormous lakes. Grass spread across the plains. Trees began to grow. Animals returned. And wherever water appeared, people followed. Entire communities built their lives around this new landscape. Children were born beside rivers. Families fished in lakes. Herders raised cattle across vast green grasslands. For generation after generation, this wasn't a miracle. It was simply the world they knew. Scientists call this remarkable period the African humid period. It lasted for thousands of years, long enough for an entire civilization to believe the rains would never end. But nature had other plans. The same slow movement of Earth that created this green paradise would eventually begin to take it away. And when it did, the consequences would reshape the history of an entire continent. Chapter 4, When Paradise Began to Disappear. For thousands of years, life in the Green Sahara followed a familiar rhythm. The rains arrived. The rivers overflowed. The lakes remained full. Grasslands stretched as far as the eye could see. Wild animals roamed freely, and people built their lives around the water. To them, this wasn't a miracle. It was simply home. But then, the rhythm began to change. At first, the signs were almost impossible to notice. One rainy season arrived a little later than usual. A river didn't flow quite as strongly. A lake's shoreline moved back by only a few meters. Most people probably believed the rains would return next year, but they didn't. Year after year, the dry seasons became longer, the rains became weaker, and slowly, the landscape that had supported life for thousands of years began to disappear. Scientists believe that around 5,500 years ago, Earth's changing orbit weakened the African monsoon. Without enough rainfall, the Sahara began its long transformation back into a desert. The grassland slowly turned brown. Trees died one by one. Rivers that had flowed for centuries became seasonal streams, then disappeared completely. The giant lakes shrank year after year. One of the greatest freshwater landscapes on Earth was slowly vanishing. The animals noticed first. Elephants migrated south in search of food and water. Hippos abandoned shrinking lakes. Crocodiles disappeared from rivers that no longer existed. Then came the hardest decision of all. The people had to leave. Families packed everything they could carry. Some followed ancient river valleys. Many moved toward the Nile River, where water still flowed throughout the year. Some archaeologists believe these migrations helped increase populations in the Nile Valley, a region where one of history's greatest civilizations would later emerge: ancient Egypt. The Green Sahara didn't disappear in a single day. There was no giant explosion, no catastrophic earthquake, no dramatic disaster. Instead, an entire world faded away so slowly that the people living through it may never have realized they were witnessing one of the greatest climate transformations in human history. Chapter 5. Could the Sahara become green again? The story of the Sahara doesn't end with sand. In fact, scientists believe this transformation has happened more than once. Over the past 800,000 years, the Sahara has repeatedly shifted between two completely different worlds. One, a dry, lifeless desert. The other, a land filled with rivers, lakes, grasslands, wildlife, and human communities. The reason is simple. Earth never stops changing. Its orbit continues to shift. Its axis continues to wobble. And over thousands of years, those slow changes influence where rain falls across our planet. So naturally, one question follows. Could the Sahara become green again? The answer is yes, but not tomorrow. And probably not in our lifetime. If Earth's natural orbital cycles continued without any other influences, scientists expect another humid phase could occur tens of thousands of years in the future. But today's world is very different from the one that existed 10,000 years ago. Human activities are now changing Earth's climate. Greenhouse gases are warming the atmosphere. Rainfall patterns are shifting. And because of that, scientists cannot predict exactly what a future Green Sahara would look like. It may never return in exactly the same way. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this story isn't whether the Sahara becomes green again. It's realizing that the landscape we think of as permanent is actually temporary. The endless dunes, the scorching heat, the silence, they're only one chapter in a story that has been unfolding for hundreds of thousands of years. Hidden beneath those sands are the remains of rivers that once flowed, the shores of lakes that once stretched beyond the horizon, the footprints of elephants, the homes of ancient families, and the memories of a forgotten world. The Sahara isn't just the world's largest hot desert. It's one of Earth's greatest history books. Every grain of sand covers another page, waiting to be discovered. Ending final 30 to 40 seconds. The next time you see a photograph of the Sahara, don't just see a desert. See the rivers that once crossed it. See the forests that once covered it. See the people who once called it home. Because history isn't only written in books. Sometimes it's buried beneath our feet. And perhaps the greatest mystery isn't that the Sahara was once green. It's how many other forgotten worlds are still waiting to be uncovered.